There is a criticism of Sunni Hadiths that you have probably heard. The claim is that many reports cannot be trusted because they don't have multiple independent sources backing them up. No corroboration means not reliable. That's the standard they want to apply. Okay, fine, let's take that seriously. But before we do, I want to show you something. Because when you actually apply that standard consistently, something very inconvenient happens. Think about the world before 1500 CE, which covers the entire era in which the hadiths were transmitted and nearly 1,000 years after it. For the entire period, the vast majority of historical reports come from a single source. One historian, one chronicler, one traveler who wrote things down. Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon, we get that primarily from Suetonius and Plutarch, none of whom were eyewitnesses, and both wrote decades after it happened. The Roman historian Tacitus, considered one of the great historians of the ancient world. His annals survive in two medieval manuscripts, both incomplete. But it's not just ancient Rome. Look at medieval Europe. Almost everything we know about the events in early medieval England comes from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, a single document compiled by monks, one source, no cross-verification. The Mongol conquests, one of the most significant events in world history. We rely on a handful of sources, many written years after the fact with no corroboration for most specific details. Marco Polo's accounts of his travels in the late 1200s, a single narrator, no corroborating witnesses. Yet historians work with it seriously. Medieval Islamic historians themselves, Al-Tabari, Ibn al-Khaldun, when they record specific events, they often rely on single chain of transmission for particular details. Sound familiar? And while Western critics will whine about hadiths for this issue, they won't in their right minds criticize Tabari or Ibn al-Khaldun rahmatullah alayh for these issues. That is not an exception. That is just how historical records work before the modern era. So here's the question. If we actually demand multiple independent corroborations for every historical event, what happens? Most of what we call history disappears. Not just minor details, entire events, entire periods, gone because they don't meet the standard. Now, no serious historian actually argues for this. No one is out here saying we should ignore Caesar or the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle because it lacks corroboration. Historians understand that corroboration is useful when it exists, but it's the exception, not the rule. Most of pre-modern history is built on single sources, evaluated on their own merits. So why are Sunni Hadiths being held to a standard that the rest of pre-modern history is not? This is not a rigorous methodology, it's a double standard, and it's worth calling it what it is. I actually cover related topics and evidence of Hadith reliability in my book, Sunni Hadiths and Sirah, Proofs of Historical Reliability, the historical comparisons, the specific arguments that critics make, and exactly why those arguments do not hold up when you look at how history actually works as a discipline. There's a free sample chapter in the description, take a look, and if it's useful for you, the full link to the book is in the description as well. And look, I want to be blunt about something. When Orientalists or ex-Muslims raise this contention, they are not making an argument in good faith, because if they were, they would be applying this standard everywhere. They would be questioning the entire historical record before the year 1500. They are not doing that. They apply this standard selectively, only when it comes to Islamic sources, because the goal is not historical rigor. The goal is to create doubt, to make the Muslims feel like their historical record is uniquely fragile, uniquely suspicious, and uniquely in need of justification. It isn't. And you don't have to accept any standard someone pulls out of thin air. The next time someone brings up corroboration as a reason to doubt Sunni Hadiths, ask them one question. Does the rest of history before the year 1500 meet this standard? If the answer is no, and it isn't, then this is not a conversation about reliability. It's about who gets to set the rules, and why those rules only seem to apply in one direction. Know that, use it. If this video helped, share it with someone who needs it. Drop a comment, like this video, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next one.